guitarist for an extended amount of time. Third time. I mean, for my band. I played with guitar players, but for my project. But it was like, I think we want this guy. Like this guy, the energy he brings, like he's gonna be, he's gonna be great and really effective with us, and I think he's gonna be a really good hang. And we brought him down, and also he happens to be a really amazing musician as well, which is awesome. So it's all kind of unique stories, and these guys all know each other. These two went to college together, and now they're both in New York. He's the drum set player for Blue Man Group on Broadway. He plays percussion for Hamilton on Broadway. So they're always hanging out, doing that kind of thing, and we're always trying to collaborate. And so now we got a new member of the family here with John, and we're just looking forward to seeing where this thing goes.
Okay. Please give it up.
New standards. Your band puts a fresh spin on classic Jerry's tunes. So guys, how do you come up with these creative imaginings, and what are the fun and not so fun parts of putting their own twist on these iconic songs, maybe?
Well, we don't do so much of fresh spins on iconic jazz songs as much as just pop songs that we sort of make jazz, I guess. Which is something a lot of people do, and a lot of people do it really well. And the whole reason behind the name, the New Standard, is because when you come up learning jazz, you learn what are called standards. These are typically songs from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're great, they're wonderful, and while they're jazz standards, universally, they're not my standards from when I grew up. Like my standards are Tupac and Biggie and Roxanne and Tears for Fears and Police and Britney Spears even, Justin Timberlake. Like those are like my standards, the things I remember having core memories to. Or I can say our standards for the most part vary, a year off here and there, but for the most part, right? And so for me, because I don't sing, I'm not cool like this guy. I play guitar and sing, so I can't just go and be like, watch me play this great Ed Sheeran song or this great whoever was hot at the time. I played the vibraphone. So the question was always like, well, I have to play this music on this instrument, but I'm listening to all this music and enjoying this music, and this is the music and the culture that I'm growing up in. How can I put those things together? And so when sort of figured that out along with my team, to be able to figure that out, shout out to Doug Carter back home as a piano player who helped me arrange these tunes. And then Bill, then you find the right musicians who understand your vision, because you can get a musician who's great, but he doesn't kind of get what you're trying to do. So you sort of have to spell it out, and maybe you get like somebody who who maybe just is really proficient, maybe at jazz, but doesn't really understand soul or pop and can't put them all together. But when you find the right musicians, and then you can, then that's the fun part, right? So every time we play, I've been playing these songs for a long time. We've been playing these songs for a long time. But then all of a sudden we add John, and it's completely different. You add Murphy, it's completely different. Or Mike comes back after 5 or 6 years with all these new experiences and new context, and it's completely different. I don't know. I can't really think of something that's not fun about it. It's an adventure all the time, man. So I have no answer for the not fun parts about it.
24 hours on a plane.
Well, I guess, but yeah, 24 hours on a plane, but worth it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I think our question stops here. Now we're open to our friends here who would like to ask some questions. Anyone with
Questions can raise.
We like questions.
Yeah.
Give us the hard ones.
They like questions. Don't let Teresa, maybe. You guys want to ask us names?
Yes, Murphy is single.
Bow chicka wow wow.
nice information.
Do you want to ask? Okay.
Why do you have to throw it to me?
I'm there with you.
Okay.
No, I don't want to stand up.
It's okay.
For love? I love you, girl. Wait.
All right.
Don't pressure me, please. Hi guys, again. I'm sure most of y'all are bored seeing my face like every
I've never seen it before. So
You're not wrong, yeah. This is new face, and there's also some new faces here. I'm Trisha. I'm actually Lydia's friend. Yeah. Best friends, besties.
Basically, one of my questions is like, usually bands,
They go on tours on like, like only some parts of the world, like only the ones that people know, like maybe Korean band groups. They always go to small, like the big places like Jakarta only, like they never go here. And what was the main reason? Like, oh, I think I want to go to Java too. I want to go everywhere because you guys mentioned that you go to Sumatra as well, right? So like, what was the main idea? Like, I want to go everywhere in Indonesia. I want to make a tour in all over of Indonesia, not only in Jakarta. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank
To
you,
be
Trisha.
honest, we don't schedule this tour. I would love to tell you that like we were like, here's the places we're gonna go, but we don't know very much about Indonesia other than Jakarta and Bali before we got here. Well, I mean, I knew Sumatra because I love rhinoceroses, so I knew a little. I love coffee too, so I knew a little bit. But the truth is, the embassy through their program is on the ground here at the consulates and at the embassy in Jakarta are the ones who schedule the tour. And one thing I love about these tours, because we've done a few of them now, is that it's not just about those big cities. It's about going to places where we can be the most impact and where we can, so if there's a school with musicians, I mean, how many people in Padang Panjang are gonna see, a great art? I was in South Florida and most of the big acts turn around because it's hard to get all the way down to South Florida, and I was frustrated. So I can't imagine someone who you have to drive 2 hours through winding roads where there's very few hotels, So to see the appreciation on the faces of the students or of the people in those smaller areas, honestly, I love playing big cities, obviously, like we love that, but there's something about that level of gratitude and appreciation that we get from some of those smaller places that is irreplaceable. And we really, really, really enjoy that. So we're really grateful for the consulate, for the embassy, for being able to put such a tour together that gives us a great blend of something for a little comfort, a little like, let's go to Jakarta, let's be in a big city, let's get a nice, really cool space to play in, and then also we stretch a little bit so that we can go see some students who would not get this opportunity otherwise, and in the hopes that, like, when I think about it, and and we leave these places, I'm always thinking, like, what if one of those students, because of this, was able to say, you know what, I never thought that there was a thing like this was possible, but now I think this is possible, and it changes their trajectory from here to here in a positive way. And we're able to see them on TV in the future, or we see like that. Like, I'll even give you an example. There was this one girl in Padang who was the MC, and when I tell you, first of all, had the best voice, like the one you hear in the airport, which is like hello, and but the best voice, but also was like super energetic. I don't even know what she was saying, but I was like, just, I mean, this person could be a news anchor, could be host for whatever TV show. And I just went up to her and I said, man, you should, we were all singing her praises, but I was just like, man, you need to be you could do anything. Like, you don't understand what you have. Like, you have a gift of being able to read the energy in the room and to control it, and you have this wonderful voice and this cadence. She was like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And if you don't have somebody who comes from from having to have that context to be able to say, yeah, we've seen these, and I'm telling you, you're as good as, right? And we also worked with a singer here, Nesia Ardi. If you don't know her, she's from Jakarta, but she lives in Bali now, but she plays in Jakarta all the time. Nesia, we shared the stage with her, and we were all like, these guys are from New York, and he came in first thing, he's like, that's one of the best singers I've ever worked with ever, period. New York City, Paris, he just came back from on tour, and it was just like, to tell her that and her to be like, really? Because she may not get out of the island much, if at all, so she doesn't know how good she could be. So what a gift to be able to give that to somebody and maybe inspire them to be able to think that maybe they could do whatever they want. They want to stay she wants to stay in Bali and sing, but she's going to sing with a little more confidence. Or if she wants to travel and try to expand, she can do that too. So it's been a beautiful experience.
I introduce myself. Yeah, my name is Henry, and I'm a jazz enthusiast, and I play piano. So I built a jazz community or jazz band in Surabaya called Jazz Nesa. You can check on Instagram. My question is, what should I do? Should I cover jazz standard composition, or should I make my own composition for my community, to build my community? Yes, that's it.
Yeah. No, I mean, the answer is yes. You should do all of it. You should do what you want to do. I mean, listen, you got to learn. If you want to play jazz, the best school is listening to all the classics and the standards and learning them and learning what the masters were doing, just like you would in anything. Like, you have to learn it. But then if you want to compose, you should compose. You know, there's no rules behind this. We're playing music. Like, there's no like, well, if you play piano, you only are allowed to play this, and you got to play it this way. It's not, if someone tells you that, they're not having your best interest at heart, right? I mean, you should be able to play what you want, how you want to play it, and then see what the people like. But if you're honest, and you're, like, if you don't like playing lots of standards, yes, you got to learn them. You learn them, transcribe, listen to the greats, do it. But then when you go out and perform, when you use it, use what you want and throw the rest away. Add that stuff to your compositions. Do stuff that's honest, that makes you smile when you're playing it, that makes other people smile because they see you smile, that makes you heal from some pain that you have. Like, play that stuff. That's the stuff people come to see. People don't care about you playing your scales. Like not most of the people. Maybe there's a handful of people who play jazz who are, but how many people do that? Right? Like, not very many. He plays vibraphone. He can play a vibraphone. He can play a vibraphone. I haven't seen him play a vibraphone, but he can probably play a vibraphone. And there's only a handful of people on the planet who will be able to tell the difference between the way we play, right? But they can tell the difference between what instrument makes our heart sing, right? Like, I'm not a vibraphone player, I'm a musician who happens to play the vibraphone mostly, right? I mean, he's not just a percussionist, he's an artist, and he expresses himself on percussion. It seems to be the way that he likes to express himself most, right? Tuba, he's a bass player too, he's a guitar player, he plays all sorts of things, but we're going to go on tour, and we said, hey, maybe you should play tuba. That seems to be where you're leaning, and he's like, I really want to play tuba. We didn't think to ourselves, people won't understand. People may not be, they're not used to hearing the tuba. They're not used to seeing a vibraphone and tuba together. This may not sell. We didn't care about that. This made us be able to play at our fullest potential for ourselves. So we said, this is what we should do. And people don't think about it. They don't think, man, that's a great tuba vibraphone band. They just say, that's some great music and a great time. Because we're being honest and authentic about who we are and what we do and how we do it. And as a result of that, people buy tickets. When I stop doing that, when I start playing from a place of ego, or like, I want people to see how good I am, or I want people to know that I'm great, or I got to play this in this space because there's an audience and they need to hear me, I need them to know that I can play jazz. Then people don't really, it's like a self-defeating thing. Like, they don't know that. They're just like, oh, this guy's playing that stuff. Yeah, then they start sneering and they start, it's okay, it's all right. But when I'm playing a pop song that I like, even though the melody is 5 notes, but I'm just bleeding on my instrument, I'm just pouring it out, then that's the stuff that sells. Like the pop guys you like. You guys just sang a beautiful song. It was wonderful. Great stuff. Beautiful guitar playing. Was it the hardest thing you've ever sang or played on guitar? No, not at all. But everyone's sitting here like, oh, they love it because you guys are passionate about it, because you liked it. You didn't have to be like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, if you did that, you guys would have been like, what is happening? Where's the song? Right? If all he was doing was like, you guys would have just been like, where's the song? Like, we want to hear the song. The song is simple and beautiful and honest. And that's what you have to be. It doesn't have to be hard. Don't impress musicians. Don't try to play for musicians. Musicians are the worst audience. The worst audience. I mean, hopefully some of them, when they grow up, they're like, you know what, I need to be a better audience member. But for the most part, musicians are the first ones who will ask for comp tickets and free CDs, only to come sit at your show and be like, I can't. You play that again? Yeah. Like, I could play that. No, that's not even hard, right? Not to say musicians can't come to your shows, right? But what's important is to play for the thing that we all have in common, which is love and loss and pain and sacrifice and togetherness and community. That's what we play from. And that could be the simplest melody ever. Think about the greatest songs you've ever heard. I can guarantee you that they're simple, beautiful melodies that stick with you long after you leave. They're not complicated. You know, you can throw that stuff in there, get a little saucy with it, but that's not what makes beautiful music. Yeah? So play all the things. Just be honest about it.
It's actually a preach, I can say.
Anything to add to that? I know I
That's good. I think you hit all the things. Yeah, you hit the notes. I was authenticity.
Hit all 12 notes.
all 12. Plus a couple quarter tones.
Okay. Is there anyone?
You want to ask some question again? Okay. Oh, Kayla. Okay. Wait. Here he is. I'm so sorry.
Coming from you from the Education USA desk, I would love to know about you guys' musical education journeys. Did you guys go to schools? Do you recommend schools to our musicians in the room? And how did you grow in your craft?
We'll start with John on this one, then we'll go Mike Murphy, then we'll.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's not necessarily a formula for everything. I mean, we're all our own unique people, and so the pathways will change and vary. My own journey was, I didn't even realize how much I enjoyed music until quite a bit later in life. I was in, like, later on in high school. I picked up the guitar when I was 16, 17 years old. To impress girls. That's why I did the tuba, too. Yeah. Because I loved poetry, I loved creating, and then I fell in love with the guitar and just creating songs and using my imagination. I started playing trumpet. I was picking that up as well in high school, and I was a senior, and I joined band. Like that was my first year in band. I didn't know how to read, didn't know how to do anything like that, but I knew I wanted to do something with music when I went to college, so I ended up going for music education and did not realize how much I loved teaching until my sophomore year of college, so second year of college, of university. And I was put into a classroom with the young students, elementary age students, and there was a bunch of guitars that were just sitting in a closet that just were not used. And so for my experience, I just grabbed them and I was like, oh, I can play the guitar, taught the students how to play some chords on guitar, and we sang simple songs, and it was beautiful, and I just absolutely loved
So
it.
you got your undergrad? Like,
Yeah.
what was your
Music,
undergrad
music education. Yeah, that's what I said. Bowling Green.
Bowling Green.
Yep, Bowling Green State University, and in Ohio. And yeah, from then on, I was a music teacher, and I also loved continuing to create and compose. I wasn't just playing like cover songs. I was also writing music and playing that out in different venues. I was recording small projects and just things that filled me up. And so, yeah.
Rose fell for that, actually.
All right, so my education journey, I'm going to say it started at home, you know, when I was like young, like memories that I rarely and don't even think about anymore. But like one of my very first memories was me sitting in my grandparents' house, and my dad was a fan of records, LPs, and he would just play records like nonstop. And I remember like going into my grandmother's cabinet, taking out pots and pans and taking out, you know, wooden spoons and just beating on pots and pans, you know, and wooden spoons. And I got my first drum set at the age of 3. I'll never forget it. It was a little red Mickey Mouse drum set. It had Mickey on the front, and me and my cousins, I got it for Christmas, and we unboxed it on Christmas, and the next day, the pieces scattered all over the house. You know,
And that's the drum set he's using on this tour.
exactly. We found them. No. Right, but then, you know, from age 3 to 7, just listening to music, and my parents were like, we need to get him some drum lessons and an actual drum kit. So I took my first drum lesson at the age of 7 from an organist who used to play at my home school, my home church where my parents, went to church. And from then on, I grew up playing in church. I took over the drum chair at church, and when high school came about, I did this program called the Ravinia Jazz Scholars, right, in Chicago. And it was an after-school program, and we got introduced to so many like Chicago jazz legends, like Willie Pickens, Perez Whitted, and just a bunch of musicians, a slew of musicians. And I learned how to play jazz from that ensemble, right? And then moving on to college, I went to University of Miami, which is where Murph went. We both went there, and I studied under Steve Rucker. I did the Stamps Distinguished Jazz Ensemble. That was my scholarship in school, and it was five musicians from all across the country got together and played music for 4 years straight. It was the same people, and that experience was amazing. Like we got to tour. We went to the Dominican Republic. We played for all of the like premier events around campus, around Miami. And then from there, graduated, moved to New York, and started doing Broadway stuff. So I got picked up by Hamilton. I did the Hamilton tour. I toured all across the country. Before that, recorded with Drew, recorded this record, and then I woke up one day and found myself in Indonesia.
We gave him something in his drink and then dragged him in.
So
now you're in the room where it happens.
Oh,
Hey.
Zing.
Similar story. It kind of all started at home musically. I've been playing piano like kind of as long as I can remember, because we had piano in the house, thankfully. And then I remember I was five years old, and I asked my dad, I was like, "Can I play drums?" He's like, "No way." And so what did I do? I asked my mom. And she's like, "Yeah, this won't last. You can play drums. Sure, whatever." Ha ha. So I started taking lessons from a guitar player, and then that lasted a little bit, and then I was playing drum set. And then I got into like middle school. I was getting into playing like classical music, classical percussion. But I couldn't read music. I just kept using my ears. So somehow, I forget how, but my mom found Drew's number, or Drew's music school, and that's when I met Drew. This is almost 20 years ago.
And that was all he ever needed to learn.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey man, I can't read music. I can't figure this out. Please help me." Because in middle school and high school, everyone's like reading music, and I'm like, I can't do this. And so then I kept playing drum set, Spaceship.
Nice.
And then, in high school I went to like an arts high school in South Florida, playing classical, jazz. I always wanted to be like a rock drummer, but I was getting really into like classical music and really into Cuban music. Growing up in Florida, there's a lot of like Latin music and playing hand drums, which is kind of what I'm playing mostly on this tour, is hand drums. But the thing I love about music is like you were asking about, should I play other people's music or should I write my own? Like, do everything. Like, especially now in New York, I play conga gigs, I play drum set gigs, I play piano gigs, I do stand-up comedy. Like, just do whatever you want to do.
Whoa, rewind. You do stand-up comedy?
We have like a stand-up comedy band. It's like musical.
Okay, all right, okay. I thought you just went to a club and you were like, and now open mic Murph Allcamp. And then I was going to say, get up there right now and give us your set.
No.
That's why you didn't tell me, I guess.
It's not suited for Indonesian television radio. Kept playing. I ended up going to school for jazz, even though I was like kind of really into classical music. But at the end of the day, I went to college for jazz because I really like about jazz is like the freedom of it. Like, the thing with classical music is you can get kind of stuck in a routine of like, play this and play this exactly this way. the way it was played 200 years ago. I was like, no, we need to live in the moment and create new stuff. So I went to school for jazz. I went to University of Miami, which is where Mike went. Go Canes. And then I stayed in Miami for a few years and I played a bunch of shows in Miami, went on tour in South America and the Caribbean. And then they had an audition for this group called the Blue Man Group in Atlanta. I drove up, and then, long story short, they're like, "Can you move to New York in September?" And I was like, "I guess I'm moving to New York." Like, I always thought I'd stay in Florida forever and just play music and go to the beach and have a nice life. And then they're like, "You're moving to New York City." So I've been in New York for like 5.5 years-ish, on and off, pandemic. And yeah, just love playing music and love playing, but I think almost right there above playing is like the fact that playing allows me to travel and meet people like here in Indonesia.
So I was fortunate enough to grow up in a house that I was always surrounded by music. My mother plays guitar and sang in church, so I was always surrounded. She would always sing to us. My grandfather is an organ player in church. And my elementary music teacher was really great. She was also the music minister at my church, and I was involved in everything from plays and musicals growing up. So I can't remember a time where I wasn't involved in music. And in my house we had guitars, pianos, drums. I got my first drum set when I was very young, and my mother put me in drum lessons for many years. And when I got into school, into middle school, I got into tuba. Not really my first choice instrument, but I fell in love with the instrument. And then I played that for many years, and throughout high school I was involved, Drew was as well, in an activity called Drum and Bugle Corps. And that got me into traveling and really enjoying getting to see different parts of the country at that time. And I went to college for a little bit, but I didn't finish college. I actually went for about a year, and I got word of an audition for a Broadway show called Blast. And they were doing a tour in Japan, and I got a call and said, "Hey, we'd like you to send a friend of mine said you should send an audition tape." So I put together an audition tape, and I sent it off, and I won the gig. And I had about 3 weeks to move up to Indiana and rehearse, and then move to Japan. So needless to say, I left school, and that was the end of my formal education. And the rest of my education from there really came from the people around me. That was the first time I was in a professional environment from a musical standpoint, and I learned a lot from the people around me. So a lot of my education is not, I've had great teachers over the years, but it's really been the people that I played with. I've played, my first time here with John, but I've played with Mike, and it's been a while since we played together. It's been a while since I played with Murph, and they're like different players now when I'm playing with you both. And I feel like I learn and I try to absorb a little bit of everything from the people that I get to play with and listen to. So a lot of my education, I believe, comes, from my friends, the people that I get to. I have Drew is kind of a gatekeeper. He's kind of the person. I'm very quiet. I don't talk a lot, and Drew's always kind of my wingman. Like, hey, let's get Bill in this ensemble. Let's get Bill in this ensemble. And I feel a lot of times I end up in bands where I'm not the best player in that group, but I just sit and I listen and I try to absorb everything that I can and just take it all in and see how I can use that to make myself better. And then a lot of times I'll play a gig and think, all right, I got to go home and practice. I want to get to that next level. So a lot of my education has been that. Playing just in this group in the last 2 weeks, I've learned a lot, and I can't wait to go home and practice some of the things that I've learned and picked up.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, and similarly to Bill, I did not graduate from college. I started playing piano at 4 years old. I'm the youngest of 5, and the youngest by a long shot. My 3 brothers and sister are all 14 years older, 15 years older, 18 years older, 19 years older. I was the pleasant surprise of my parents in their older age. And so when my mom put me in piano lessons, as she did with all of my siblings, I wanted to quit just like my siblings did, but my siblings, who my mother let quit, were old enough to have already regretted it, like wish that they still knew how to play. So when I was begging to quit, my siblings were like, you can't let him quit because we all regret it. We wish you never let us quit. So my mom didn't let us quit. Didn't let me quit, rather, which, you know, again, like jokes on her. Then she was very surprised when I was like, I want to be a musician. And then in middle school, they didn't have a piano option, so I ended up on drums. Then in high school, I wanted to play drums in the jazz band, like these cool guys, but there was already a cool senior drum set player, and he's like, no, kid, you're going to have to play all these other little percussion instruments. And one of those instruments happened to be a vibraphone, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then I went to Drum and Bugle Corps as well, which is like a big marching band that tours around the country. And I tried to play the tenor drums, and I auditioned, and I got cut from that. And then I went into what's called the front ensemble. I ended up playing the vibraphone, and one of those teachers was jamming on some jazz songs in the parking lot, and I was like, I love the way that sounds. Like, he was using harmonies that were different than what I've heard, and he's like, dude, that's jazz. So I went home, I found a jazz teacher. I was 15 years old, and that was it. I fell in love with it. He gave me a couple albums. I loved them, and then I just started playing. I started gigging. I found a friend. Shout out to this guy, Nicholas Cole. Who's still playing piano in Vegas right now. Like, plays all over the place. And and we just said, let's go play gigs. I didn't know much of anything. I knew like a scale or two. And I went to every single door I could and be like, you want music? I would go to a law firm, I'd go to a gym, I don't care what it was, a hair salon, and I'd be like, you guys want some jazz? I'll play here for it. Let me play one time. If you like it, give me a month contract, and then you could pay me $100 or whatever it was. And I ended up doing that everywhere. But I guess I'm really good at hearing no. I couldn't care less. Like, so I'm like, no, okay, cool. I have to come back here again. To me, that's like, thank goodness I don't have to waste my time on you again. Let's go on to the next one. And then I was playing so much in high school. Like my job in high school was playing. I would go play every night, and I was coming home and making way more money than all my friends and hanging out. So when it came time for college, side note, my father didn't go to college. He immigrated from Jamaica to follow my mom, and hadn't gone past third grade, and had made a really good living just doing landscaping and maintenance, and grew his company. So my brothers didn't go to formal college, or didn't graduate from formal college. I think maybe later on down the road they might have, but they were also, many of them were very successful in what they did. So in my head, seeing that, I was like, college is cool. Like, I wanted to go to college. I saw the value in it, but it wasn't like I saw success without it from hard work, and the education came differently. So when I went to college, it was cool, but I was playing all the time. I was playing I went to a college in Florida called Florida Atlantic University, and the program was so small that they had me doing everything. They had me teaching. And I was a freshman, and that wasn't cool for me. So I auditioned for Berklee School of Music, which at the time was like the mecca of where you go. But it was so expensive, and I had money saved up, so I paid for it myself. But then after I ran out of money, that happened quick. They were like, well, take out some loans. But I'd already been playing for 5, 6, 7 years, so I was like, you want me to take out 40,000 USD every single year in loans? I'm only making 150 on a good day back home. Like, that math is not mathing. That math is not adding up. Doesn't make any sense. This is the life I'm going to have as a professional. I've met so many professionals and people who are at the top of the game playing the same gigs I'm playing. So what am I going to get a $30,000, into debt, this huge debt, be saddled with? And so I left there, but when I came back to Florida, I was, Berklee was a beautiful school with music coming out of the rafters. Like, it was so much fun that when I came back to Florida, I was like, I'll try something else. So I did graphic design and advertising. I went to school for that for a while, but then I was miserable because I wasn't playing music. So it was like, all right, well, it's like this figure eight. And so I said, you know what? I just finally admitted to myself that traditional formal education wasn't for me, and I got to work. I used what money I had left. I traveled to Germany, Belgium, I went to Japan for a little bit, and took courses with all of my favorite musicians. And then I ended up being a roadie for one of them for a few months in Germany, which I learned more than I'd ever learned doing anything else, like hard lessons about what the life is really like and what it takes to be in it. And then I came back, I sold some things that I had, and I opened up a little music school. Enter Murphy. You know what I mean? And then I'm right there. I'm like, all right, I think I know how to do this. And then going from that, always trying to play, meeting guys like this, learning, just keep moving forward. And that was really the big thing. An interesting thing when I'm hearing these guys, the Broadway show he's talking about, Blast, I also auditioned for, and I got cut. I did not make it. Blue Man Group, auditioned twice for. Cut. Did not make it. Hamilton I did not audition for. But you don't really audition for those things. But my point is, like, those things could have been seen as failures, but they were just not my path. Like, right? Like, that wasn't the thing for me at the time, and that wasn't where my gift was. I don't even think my gift is playing music, to be frank. I think my gift is being able to bring people together, to be able to share things, and to be able to manage the energy in a room, and to be able to bring teams like this together, I think is my gift. Music is fun, and I work hard at it. I know people who play the vibraphone, and that is their gift. And I support them and celebrate them, and I don't compare myself to them, right? Vibraphone is my vehicle, like Murphy was saying with travel. Vibraphone is my vehicle to share my gift, right? That's just the vehicle that I have to be able to talk to you guys, to be able to share, to be able to travel, to be able to do these things. And I think all of us, if we're honest, some of us here, the gift is music. Like, that's just the gift we had. I think Bill's gift is he's the glue. He's the glue that keeps us together. Every group I've ever been in, which is always different. Like, I need a Bill. Like, even I need Bill because he's the glue that keeps it together. You know what I mean? You know, and I say that, you know, and if you look around, like, I can guarantee you that this guy, when I first saw him on Instagram, I knew his gift right away. Like, I mean, you can, at least what I perceived as his gift was this magic. It's like, yeah, what's the guy with the little magic flute and all the kids follow him? Like, it was like, he's like the Pied Piper. He is like and this is just as I see it. He may be able to tell it differently, but to me, he's an amazing guitar player, amazing trumpet player. And I think those things are what allows him, like you said, to ply his gift. And when you embrace your gift and don't compare yourself to somebody else, like, do I wish I had more time to practice and I could be a better vibraphone player sometimes and like be playing with these cats or do whatever? Sometimes. But that's me saying to whatever creative force gave me this gift that, like, no thanks. I know better. I know what I think I want to do, right? Like, if he was like, forget it, I know I'm great at this teaching thing, but the only thing I want to do is be a cool rock star. It's like you're just kicking the gift up to the curve. Right? But when we find our gift, we embrace it, and we're celebrated for it, because no one could be a better Drew than Drew. No one could be a better Bill than Bill, right? But if I try to Bill, I'm going to be pretty terrible at it. I wish I could be cool like that. I wish I could be calm and collected like this guy. Like, I'm all over the place. I wish I could be, like, I see something, like this guy, the way he plays, and we were at a bar yesterday, and this guy is just like, oh, what are you playing? Yeah, okay. Oh, you have a song? Let me hear it for a second. Okay. Like, that would be cool, but if I try to do that, and I say, like, look at how cool I can do this, I jumped in and said, I can do that too, then I'm going to fail, because it's not my gift. You know, and I think the sooner that we realize, and some of us can have many gifts to different levels, but I think the sooner we realize that, and then, yeah, piano might be your gift, but it might be something else that piano allows you to do, right? Like, it might be teaching, it might be sharing, it might be helping the impoverished, it might be feeding the hungry, it might be just being able to bring people together, but piano allows you to do that, right? And then you can enjoy just being you instead of worrying about what whoever else is doing, you know what I mean? So, yeah, all of us had different cool education journeys. But you got to get your education somehow. Just sometimes it's formal, sometimes it's not.
So I guess that's all about the podcast. Once again, thank you for coming to Thank you all for coming here. I think that's all for this episode. See you in the next episode. Bye. Oh.